What is the problem? A surfeit of food and a good choice is good. But eating too much of it and having the wrong balance, in the diet is in itself very much a challenge. And it's not just a question of the consumer being informed, it's a question of the changing lifestyle too. 20 years ago, people would walk to conferences, they would walk between offices. There was a lot more interaction and movement in doing business. Nowadays most people just sit at their desk and they're working, communicating through a camera like this or by email. The opportunity for physical activity and walking is reduced. We're using cars and public transportation more. That's very good, it's a privilege to have that, but there's a downside. We've got availability of more calories, we're using less calories, so many more people are becoming overweight or obese, and that really calls for a sympathetic and understanding and a fair collaborative response to that challenge, to help people make informed decisions, to help them choose a balanced diet and a good lifestyle, not ordering them, not taking their choices away, but giving them better choice and better information to make good choices. Regarding food allergies, it is true that we are eating a lot more varieties of foods in developed countries than we used to. They come from many different places. But in reality, the allergies themselves have not changed. There are still only 8 main food groups that are responsible for about 90% of allergic reactions. And I would say that most people that suffer some discomfort or some slight reaction when eating food really don't have a true food allergy. It may be an intolerance, for example, or it may be even just indigestion. It's very important to tell the difference and to focus on the real problem in allergies, which affects only a small percentage of the population. But we need to contact them. We need to tell them what the risks are, and we need to tell them how to manage the risks without imposing unnecessary restrictions on the rest of the population that doesn't suffer from those allergies. I think the question is really about how does the public react when they hear about new developments in food production, food technology, agricultural technology, new processes and new techniques, and things like food biotechnology and genetically modified foods, as they're sometimes called in other countries. And I think it's understandable that when the public hears about something new, they really have a bit of an information gap. And two things can happen. The people that produce those goods and products, the safety officials that are responsible for their oversight, and nutritionists, dietitians, health people who really know the facts on the issue. They have a golden opportunity to explain what the reality of the situation is. And I think if we can communicate early, if we can explain what we are doing in new science, why we are doing it, how we are ensuring safety, and point to real, hard evidence over many years that these things are beneficial, they are safe, they have positive results, and they offer strong opportunities for the future. I think the public then starts to understand and becomes more receptive because they become more familiar with what's happening, they're more reassured, and when they understand potential benefits, I think they go from understanding over time to acceptance. It's happened many times with new technologies, particularly in areas like medicine, where first of all a medical invention was viewed with suspicion, and why would you put something in my body? Very, very dangerous, apparently. And at the end of the day, it turns out to be one of the safest and best things that we've ever done, and has saved or enhanced many, many lives. It's often like that in new science, and we owe it to the public to explain what and why, what's in it for them, how we'll keep them safe, and how we're all working for something better. The next issue in food safety, there could be so many. The reality is that the food supply is probably safer now than it has ever been, and yet there will be ongoing controversy and concern about safety in the future. And there's two reasons. There's media out there, there's public opinion out there, there's public interest, and there's dialogue, and things are new. So there's going to be a lot of discussion. Now, to be honest, in my organisation we have a familiar phrase that we use, and we will say it will be the ingredient of the week or the chemical of the week. The fact is that now with modern detection technologies we can detect a small proportion of almost anything in just about everything. So we're going to have a series of press stories and technical information. We have discovered this ingredient in this food. We've discovered that ingredient in that food. We weren't sure it was there before. We know it is there now. The point is not that something is there. It's probably always been there. It's probably been there at a level which is way, way lower than anything that could cause harm. So the mere presence of a chemical or an ingredient doesn't pose risk if it's at a very low level. And that's the important thing that we need to communicate on a regular basis. The presence of something doesn't cause harm unless there's so much of it and there is a negative consequence from that presence, and in most cases there is not. We need to be prepared to answer those questions on whatever the ingredient is this week that comes into the media and whatever ingredient is next week. We won't know until it happens, but the approach, the response and the safety ensurement and the way we answer these questions has to be remarkably consistent, because this will continue to happen on a very regular basis. I would suggest that it's always better to talk early. If you think an issue is emerging, address it. Provide simple information to the public, just on a regular and simple basis. If there's an emergency, respond fast, openly and transparently. But if it's just a growing concern about something we don't really know about, you'll be the one. You're the expert. You have the knowledge. Give people the right information first. Don't wait until they misunderstand it and have to reverse a negative perception. That's very difficult. Why not create a balanced understanding in the first place? That's a lot easier, a lot less costly in terms of time and resource, and it enables better decisions by the public more of the time. So engage early and engage consistently, and bring the right experts with the right knowledge in to anticipate the questions and respond with the answers that stakeholders and consumers need.